Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I am going to review Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I recently had the chance to go and watch the film at my local Odeon cinema, and if I'm being honest, 2024 has been a questionable year for video game adaptations, with Fallout, which I haven't finished yet but I will get there, Knuckles, which I didn't despise like everyone else, I just feel like it drew too much attention to Wade Whipple, and the Borderlands movie, which earned the lowest score I've ever handed out in BB8's house reviews to date. But what about Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Going into this movie, I had high expectations and it was well worth the wait. And I could easily say that Sonic Movie 3 is now my favourite video game movie, surpassing the likes of Pokemon Detective Pikachu and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. But how exactly did it surpass them? You're about to find out. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? For the story. The story doesn't waste any time with the action, making sure that the balance between fight scenes throughout the film is fair. One of the biggest issues I've had with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from 2022 is that the wedding side plot felt like unnecessary filler, which didn't contribute to the plot at all until Sonic and Tails arrived at the scene. But here, in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it does a great job at focusing on what really matters in the story, while also delivering on the action scenes between Sonic and Shadow, as well as showcasing Shadow's relationship with Maria, which, going into this, I was scared on how they were going to handle the flashback elements, only because one of my least favourite comic book movies of the 2020s, being The Eternals, didn't really handle the flashbacks correctly and made the story very difficult to follow. But here in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it goes back and forth between 1974 and 2024 in a way that makes sense to showcase Shadow's backstory and motivation. And another aspect of the movie that was worth talking about is how well paced the story is. It manages to keep me engaged from the early scenes of the movie right up until the climax, with high stakes action scenes and emotional character arcs to go through, and the script does a great job at showcasing Shadow's backstory with Maria while creating a story that does Shadow's character justice. And it really shows that Keanu Reeves, who voiced Shadow in the film, did his homework on the character before doing the voice lines. And there are a couple of plot elements with spoilers that I want to talk about as well, but I'm just gonna put this red border around the video because we are about to enter spoiler territory with the movie. But if you haven't seen the movie yet, you might want to skip to the visual section to avoid spoilers. Have you skipped yet? Well, good. Now we're moving on to the spoiler related stuff. So, in the third act of the movie, we see Ivo and Gerald Robotnik launch the Eclipse Cannon, a weapon designed by Gunn, into space, which Shadow uses his super speed to power the Eclipse Cannon. Shadow does redeem himself at the end by helping Sonic stop the Robotniks at the end of the movie, but Gerald Robotnik ends up backstabbing Ivo Robotnik, since Gerald did have a different plan of using the Eclipse Cannon to destroy planet Earth, but Ivo Robotnik disagrees with the plan, since his plan was to conquer planet Earth rather than destroy it. So, Ivo and Gerald end up getting into a fight with each other, while Sonic and Shadow, in their super forms, end up blocking the beam from hitting Earth. Ivo, Robotnik, and Shadow do sacrifice themselves in the final fight to stop the Eclipse Cannon from being fired, but of course it does get fired at the moon after all, and of course, Shadow does make it out alive, as seen in the second post-credit scene of the movie, but Ivor Robotnik, there is no possible way that Ivor Robotnik survived the climax of the movie. Unless they figure out a really creative way to say how he survived the explosion. I'm happy that Shadow's redemption wasn't handled in the same way as Knuckles' redemption in the second movie, because it can get a bit repetitive if we see them join Sonic's team as the movie goes on. And I'm also happy that Shadow survived, because I'm also interested to see a Shadow solo project within the Sonic movie universe, with Keanu Reeves returning to voice Shadow, and hopefully that's where we will end up seeing Rouge, Omega, and Black Doom. For the visuals in Sonic 3 are still on par with the first two movies and the Knuckles TV show, and demonstrates how well Shadow was animated, especially with the showcase of his abilities such as the Chaos Control ability and his motorcycle, which is brought to life quite well. And Sonic Movie 3 also does a great job at making sure that the action is fast-paced, just like the previous two movies. Which also stands out to me is how the visuals add emotional weight to the movie, such as how intense the fight scenes can get, as well as Shadow's flashbacks with Maria, and the visual storytelling definitely does a great job, and the color lighting from the first two movies has improved, which does make Sonic Movie 3 more enjoyable to watch visually. And finally, for the characters are still fun from the first two movies, such as Ben Schwartz as Sonic, Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails, and Idris Elba as Knuckles, who does act as a Drax type character, with him being funny without realizing it. And Jim Carrey as still fun as Robotnik, like in the first two movies, but Jim Carrey plays two characters in the movie this time, but we'll get to the other one that he plays in just a second. Tom and Maddie feel like they have a purpose to the story this time around, because one problem I had with the second movie and the wedding side plot is that Tom and Maddie feel like they were underutilized, despite not having an awful lot of screen time in the film. But here in Sonic Movie 3, they get to help out on Team Sonic's mission to infiltrate Gun Headquarters. But who is new in Sonic Movie 3? Shadow, voiced by Keanu Reeves. That's right, Keanu freaking Reeves is definitely the standout of the movie. And while I did additionally have John Bernthal, the Punisher, as my fan cast for Shadow, but Keanu Reeves being one of my favourite actors, this casting choice was definitely a standout for me. And the movie definitely showcases Shadow's character perfectly, even if Maria Robotnik's death is altered compared to the games, since she was shot in the games, and while in Sonic Movie 3, she died in an explosion, which the movie already pushed the PG rating to its limits, so this change wasn't really the biggest deal for me. Outside of Shadow, we have the new main villain, Gerald Robotnik, who is also being played by Jim Carrey, which I did find surprising going into this, because both Ivo and Gerald are both played by Jim Carrey, which are both hilarious characters in their own right. But did the post-credit scene tease anyone? Well, spoiler warning, the post-credit scene did tease two characters who debuted in the same game, being Sonic CD, with the two characters being Metal Sonic and Amy Rose. And with these two being teased, I feel like Sonic Movie 4 will be about time travel. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is the best of the 3 Sonic movies and probably the best live-action Sonic project we've had so far. And while Shadow's inclusion was a major highlight for me, and the film showcases its ability to respect the source material well, and pushes the boundaries for a PG-rated movie quite well. And before going into this, I was skeptical about this movie not being PG-13, only because Shadow's backstory is PG-13 level in the games, but the movie still delivers despite the PG rating. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 also carefully balances nostalgia with plot to make this the standout Sonic media outside of the video games. And it is a love letter to the fans of Shadow the Hedgehog and Keanu Reeves, while also bringing in some things that make the movie more exciting, and I can't wait to rewatch the movie when it releases on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray in 2025. And that is why I give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 the collector perk and the first ever accolade to be handed out in BB8's House Reviews with the certified silver accolade. And overall, I give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 a 9 out of 10. While not the first video game adaptation to make the certified gold club, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is an outstanding video game movie and demonstrates what a video game movie should be: respectful to the source material while also trying out some exciting action scenes, emotional moments, particularly with Shadow, as well as phenomenal visuals, making Sonic the Hedgehog 3 a must-watch for all Sonic fans. And I am happy to say this, but Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is officially the highest rated in the video game adaptations category so far, which is insane to think that the highest rated and lowest rated in the video game adaptations category, that being Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Borderlands, both came out in the same year, which is insane to think. And I just want to say for now, unless one other thing surpasses it, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 might hold the title as the highest rated video game adaptation in BB8's House Reviews for a while. So guys, what did you think of my review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Next week in BB8's House Reviews, I will be reviewing Mario and Luigi Brothership. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another review video like this one in the future. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.